Hello again. We are in Manheim, Pennsylvania. We just did about 6 films up in Lititz, Pennsylvania. Came a little west here over to Manheim, and we are going to go up Route 72. This will be a fall edition. I figured this would be a pretty little drive going north on 72 from Manheim. So, had a lot of fun going over there. There's a church, it's a Zion Lutheran. I'd like to visit that cemetery with you guys at some point. I just need to do a lot more research because I came down to Lititz, had a lot of fun. Did a number of different videos. Hit the Coleman Memorial Chapel first, and after that, then I went down into Lititz itself. Did the Lititz Spring Park, the rail station. Then I did a couple Pennsylvania historic markers on the town of Lititz and on Linden Hall, and then went to General John Augustus Sutter's grave at the Moravian Cemetery. It was actually a lot easier to find. I got a little lost, but some gentlemen helped me there. It was a neat day just to get out. We're on 772 right now west, and we're turning right onto Route 72 north. This is another really neat town that I want to visit with you guys, talk about. This town was actually founded by it was Baron von Stiegel. He was a renowned glassmaker, and back in the mid 1700s, that general area. That's a Reformed church. That's a pretty church. We went by the Lutheran church. They're usually Reformed and Lutheran churches, which Reformed church is now the United Church of Christ, but they're usually, their buildings are rather close together because back in the French and Indian War period, when they were usually founded as churches, they usually shared the same facility. Not always, but a lot of times they did, because very like-minded, and it was out of necessity as well, because that period of time, this was the this was the wildlands, and the settlers, and they're settling in these areas. They needed to be close together for protection, and a lot of times the churches were places of refuge. So we're leaving Manheim on Route 72 north, and yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's another Country Roads Take Me Home fall edition. I want to do a couple more of these, hit some of the ones that I've been talking about that I've done before, more as road trips than anything, and just experience the beauty of nature, especially this time of year. It's been a really nice, at least here in the central Pennsylvania region, Lebanon County. The color change has been one of the nicest in recent memory. Just beautiful. I am going to set this here for a second, and I'm going to close the window because it is getting loud. But anyways, yeah, it's been a busy day. Got a lot done, lot visited, and that was without pretty much any preparation. I will be doing a video as well on the Sturgis pretzel plant there. It was the earliest pretzel bakery in the New World. It's right there in Lititz, Pennsylvania, and the building still stands. It's on the National Registry of Historic Places. And I stopped at the Linden Hall, Pennsylvania Historic Marker. Sturgis Bakery is right there, and I was like, you know what? I love Sturgis pretzels. I'm stopping. And I did, and I got myself some pretzels. They have a cool chocolate factory there as well called Wilbur Chocolate Company, and we don't really talk about it a whole lot, but we'll do a video on that as well at some point, because it's just, Lititz is one of those neat towns that it's a tourist destination. It's just one of those places that there's so many neat places of history, and just, it's just a beautiful town. It's one of those that has all the nice little shops and all the older buildings. The architecture's there. It's just very well maintained. Great place to go and check out. At least do a day trip. A lot of neat restaurants, things of that nature. But yeah, I'm very thankful for the fall change like it has, because in past years it's happened a lot quicker, so you didn't get the vibrant colors that you've been getting this year, and it's just nice. Makes you appreciate fall, and that time period is my favorite season, and all that good stuff. But I'm gonna let you guys enjoy a little bit of the trip here on the road without me yipping and yapping. I'll yip here a little bit more. That place back there, that home decor place, that is a really, really neat place to go. There's a cool building, a couple old stone buildings that you see here down in Lancaster County. It's a neat little town. It has an old hardware store here as well. I think we're coming up here right on the right side, and one of the old school hardware stores. They have those smells, and it's just the oils and all that other stuff. Maybe it's not here anymore, but it's a neat little town. Not sure what this is called, but I'm sure somebody like Jay that follows along on the Google Maps will be able to point that out. I always appreciate that, because Jay follows along and then sees different things. Or from I had the AWOL road, I thought it said it was Ammo Road. It's like, oh, I don't think you were on Ammo Road. It's like, no, that's a totally different area. I believe there is an Ammo Road in Indiantown Gap, but it was not. I was on AWOL Road and just got confused where I was, which happens. But it is cool having somebody that follows along and then looks at different places. Maybe I have a question and I'm talking about something, and Jay usually is able to answer those questions, which is much appreciated. But this is a beautiful area through here. We'll come up here as well, where they have the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. That's a place I'd like to visit sometime and film. Really, really, really neat place. They have all kinds of medieval type stuff. People dress up. Somebody's dressed up as the queen to act everything out. It's phenomenal. It's the Mount Hope winery and estates. That'll be coming up here in not a couple miles from, I think, yet till we get there. But that's a really, really neat place. There's a Mount Hope sign, but we're not quite there yet. But that's where the Grubb family, they were the Iron Dynasty that sort of started it all off. Peter Grubb is the one that started Cornwall Iron Furnace, and he had his first forge up there in Cornwall as well. Well, and there's, over there it is, and they have the tents and all kinds of other cool stuff, and that's Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair in Mount Hope. If you like wine, you'll like this place as well. Really, really neat place. Yeah, there's the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair picture, or the sign, sorry. Getting all excited. That's the entrance. But that, it's just such a, PARenfair.com, you check it out, and really neat place. But anyways, he's the one that started all that in the Grubb family dynasty. We visited Cornwall a number of times, talked about Peter Grubb. We'll talk about their family at some point in much more detail. But they also, they did the Manada Gap Forge that we visited. It's in pretty poor condition, but they, after they sold off to Robert Coleman, you know, they sort of were down here at Mount Hope, and that's where they were based. But that is the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Really, really quite a cool road, but very, very expensive. When we were going out to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, just because of where it was located, the easiest thing to do when it was a little more, sorry about the hand there, but a little more convenient to go on the turnpike. But eventually, as the prices rose, we were like, well, we'll just go down through Altoona. My mind just went blank there for a second. Welcome to old age. But that's a cool town too, Altoona. So at some point, I do put the camera off to the side because I don't like to have the camera right on somebody. I don't know. I just I don't like it. But yeah, a lot of cool history in the area, and we're coming close up to Mount Gretna, which we'll be going to at some point. Trying to find out when the Mount Gretna roller rink, which is quite the feature and landmark in the area, they're trying to figure out when that was exactly opened. I know it was opened in 1930 because it had served other purposes, like a dance hall and some other stuff, because it was built, I believe, in 1890, but in 1930 they switched it over to a roller rink, and they're looking for the exact date, the owners are, and if you know that, hey, it'd be cool to know that. We used to get water. There's a spring there. I don't think they have it there anymore, but anyways, it's a really neat town, very artistic town. They have art fairs there, and just beautiful area. But they were asking, I know there's a advertisement in July of 1930 for the roller rink, but so obviously sometime before that advertisement had opened, we just are having trouble figuring it out. So I contacted Mount Gretna Historical Society, so hopefully they're able to have a date and we can give that to the owners. They've been there for, I think, since 2018. But they're really, really sweet people, and it's cool that they bought that place to preserve it, because there was a lot of fear when it was going up for sale. Is this thing gonna be gone forevermore? Because it's just such a staple in the community. And thankfully, some folks that were big roller skating fans bought it and are preserving history. And thank you to them. But very, very neat. You need to see the colors here as we still here on 72. I think we're gonna go down through to Lebanon, because I really don't want to go over on 322 right now. And then we'll go from there. Yeah, you can go to Mount Gretna there on 117, the exit there. We will be going there maybe in the next couple of weeks, because I'd sort of like to go do my research on Lidditz, go back to Lidditz a little bit. There's a couple other things I'd like to do in the general region. I want to get my way back to Cornwall again and go from there. But I think what we're going to do is make a left at this light that they'll be coming up here and go drive through Quentin just quick. And then it'll be Manheim to Quentin, which is nice. Give a little bit of history of Quentin. Quentin's had a number of names over the years. I believe at one time it was called Independence, maybe something like Liberty. I had to look what the names all were, but it went through like 4 or 5, maybe more names. It was Bismarck right around the time of World War I, and because there was a lot of anti-German sentiment because of World War I, they decided to change the name to Quentin. And the history behind it being switched to Quentin was Teddy Roosevelt's son, Quentin, his youngest son, had gone off to be a pilot, and he got shot down and got killed. And the nation sort of mourned, and the town of Bismarck, which is now Quentin, got renamed to Quentin in honor of Quentin Roosevelt, who died in World War I. And it was sad because Teddy Roosevelt he was a very boisterous man, but he wasn't a guy to like show any kind of what he viewed as weakness, which was sadness. And he said, "Oh dear Quinty-Quay," because I think he called him Quinty-Quay or Quinty-Quay, and was really, really upset. You know, he was in a lot of ways, you know, you did your duty, you went to war, and you did all that, but the consequence of losing his son really upset him. And it was a shame with the Roosevelt family. The Teddy Roosevelt Jr., and they were coming up here, I'll mention the Quentin Tavern. I believe was a schoolhouse or something. Really beautiful buildings here, and Quentin Tavern's quite old. Beautiful restaurant. It's a place, if you get a chance to visit and go to, please do. But he had Teddy Roosevelt Jr. wound up dying of a heart attack. He was part of the D-Day operation. I think it was like a month later he had a massive heart attack and passed away. He actually got the Medal of Honor, which was something that his father really craved, because Teddy fought in Spanish-American War in Cuba, and the Rough Riders, and I believe it was San Juan Hill, and he really wanted that Medal of Honor, and they didn't give it to him because they felt that he was, they used to say that he was the bride at every wedding and the corpse at every funeral. He sort of had to be the center of attention. And then another one of his sons, he got stationed, I believe, out in Alaska, somewhere in that area, and he wound up committing suicide. And it was a really sad story, the tragedy that sort of followed the Roosevelts. If you like documentaries, if you like Ken Burns, the Ken Burns documentary on the Roosevelts is phenomenal. Really goes into the depths of the family and just their triumphs and their tragedies. It's just a lot of these families. We talked about the Colemans in some of the earlier videos I did today, and they had a lot of triumphs, but they also had a lot of tragedies. It just seemed to sort of follow them around. But with that, I'll say thank you for coming along on another Country Roads Take Me Home. We went from Manheim to Quentin, had a little chit-chat and enjoyed some history and talked about stuff like that like we normally do, and enjoyed the fall colors and the season. So thank you as always for coming along, and we will see you all about town.